cut the ribbon for the brand new mobile learning labs that Pueblo Community College is leading the state in deploying in partnership with employers to help give skills that help employers earn more money and a good living and help us attract businesses from across the world to Colorado, knowing our strong partnerships to help make sure that people have the skills they need to succeed. Southern Colorado, as you know, is a critical part of our beautiful state's fabric, and we also got to enjoy some Pueblo chili earlier today. I bought my bushel to take home, and we were trading recipes with some of the folks here, and I look forward to sharing some of those on social media. With where we are today, 57,775 Coloradans that have confirmed positive cases of COVID, 351 new cases today. So we're still in that range where we have several hundred new cases a day. Seems to have plateaued, which is very good news from the increases of several weeks ago. We currently have 144 people hospitalized. And I think it's important to talk about the number of Coloradans we lost for a moment, and I like to reflect on this every time we speak, because at the end of the day, this is what it's about. But we have 1,853 Coloradans who've lost their lives to COVID-19. Now, we have 1,946 that died with COVID, but for that extra 100 or so, it might not have been the main cause. For the 1,853, it was the main cause. And there's been some confusion, very unfortunate, just in the last day or two about this, because when people die of COVID, it is often of the symptoms of COVID. They die of pneumonia, they die of organ failure. People are making a lot of hay out of saying, oh, they died of pneumonia or organ failure. Well, they died of pneumonia or organ failure because they had COVID. They were perfectly healthy before they got COVID. So, and of course, we also know that for those with pre-existing conditions like diabetes, asthma, this is a significantly higher rate of both fatalities as well as hospitalizations. What's also important to reflect on is, independent of pre-existing conditions, age itself is a risk factor. Perfectly healthy Coloradans in their 70s and 80s, and to a lesser extent in their 60s, who are perfectly healthy and fit, are at significantly higher risk of hospitalization. In your 70s, 1 in 3, 1 in 4 need hospitalization. Most make it out, some unfortunately don't. If you're in your 20s and 30s, your risk of hospitalization is probably closer to 1 in 20, 1 in 30 if you're otherwise healthy. Still far greater than a cold or the flu or anything else, which is why those are very dangerous comparisons to a virus that has taken 1,853 Coloradans from us already. Over 175,000 of our fellow Americans, each one a son or daughter, a brother or sister, a mother or father. Colorado as a whole, our 7-day average percent positivity is just under 3%, 2.98%, which is a good number that we're able to move forward, and we can, it's safer to have schools in person and move forward with the opening. And it's, nationally, if we're doing enough testing, that number would be below 5. Now, in southern Colorado, and one of the reasons that we want to emphasize here what we can do better, we can have better testing numbers. In Pueblo, the percent positivity is 4.7%. In El Paso County, 4.2%. So both of those are above considerably the 2.98% in the state. And that's not necessarily because there are more cases in Pueblo and El Paso County. It's because we have less data, less people are being tested. So that's why we really want to emphasize the free, quick, and easy testing available to southern Colorado residents. In Colorado Springs, where I was this morning and got tested along with several local elected officials, Citadel Mall, right outside of J.C. Penney. We have Tuesday through Saturday, 10 a.m. to 7 p.m. You don't need an appointment. You don't need a doctor's note. You can simply go and get tested. Now, if you're experiencing any flu-like symptoms, that's exactly what you should do, get tested. And you don't have to be experiencing symptoms. For instance, if someone coughed on you at a grocery store a week ago, or you exposed to somebody that you thought might have COVID, now you don't want to go the next day because it'll be negative. You want to go a week later, 7, 8 days later, and you can get tested to see if you've contracted the virus. So visit the Citadel Mall, Colorado Springs. In Pueblo, the Pueblo Fairgrounds, Monday through Friday and every other Saturday. Free community testing as well for anybody. The better we can do with our testing, the better we can do with containing this virus, protecting our economy, growing our economy, and remaining open. We have been more successful than many other states in this regard, which is one of the reasons that Colorado, people from New York, New Jersey, Connecticut are allowed to visit Colorado without a quarantine. We've benefited from that. We've benefited from that tourism. Other states they can't visit, including most of our neighboring states, without having to do a 14-day quarantine. So as we recover, we want to make sure that it's a statewide effort, which is why we're focused on southern Colorado today, making sure that folks know and can take advantage of the free, quick, available testing. You get the results within a day or two. They're texted right to you, and you'll be in and out in 15 or 20 minutes. It's really exciting that in Colorado Springs we've tested more than 3,000 individuals, Pueblo more than 400. That's just at those. Of course, people can also get tested at their doctor, their hospital, their community health clinic. But for a lot of folks who don't have a relationship with a doctor, don't want to do the paperwork, or afraid they might be charged money, don't have 2 hours during the day to take off, take advantage of one of these free, quick, and easy sites. It's easy to do. And I also want to emphasize that for the 5 largest testing sites in Colorado, 2 of them are in southern Colorado, Citadel and Pueblo Fairgrounds. We also have Pepsi Center, Aurora Sports Park, and Water World's parking lot where they're available as well. This morning I visited Patriot Elementary School in Fountain, Fort Carson. It was exciting to see kids back in school in a safe way. They fully resumed their elementary school program. And as part of working to support our schools and our teachers in the state, we've provided 1 medical grade mask per week to every teacher in the state and every student-facing member of school staff in the state. So we supplied over 20,000 masks to Pueblo, similar amount in El Paso County, and continue to support our teachers and educators with medical grade masks. And of course the kids are also wearing masks, as about half the school districts in the state have resumed in-person instruction, and the other half are looking to do so over the next month or so. We also wanted to highlight the work of helpcoloradonow.org. Many of you who are watching this might have contributed $5 or $10 or whatever you can afford to helpcoloradonow.org. In addition to your contributions, we've had significant corporate contributions from the Broncos, from IKEA, from so many others, Kaiser. And this allows us to raise about $25 million, which has, with zero administrative overhead, because all of the administrative work is being contributed by Mile High United Way. So every dollar that's donated at helpcoloradonow.org goes right out the door. And I just visited 2 Pueblo organizations that were supported by these dollars. YMCA Pueblo, that received a $20,000 grant, and Eastside Child Care Center, which received a $20,000 grant from helpcoloradonow.org. Of course, the YWCA always does critical work for victims of domestic violence, but it's a particularly important time to rise to the occasion of helping those that, particularly because of the COVID pandemic, might not have other alternatives. And really, it's important to support that work, and it was great to hear about the difference they're making in people's lives. The Eastside Child Care Center is the only licensed, quality-rated, large child care center in East Pueblo. So absolutely critical for successful social emotional development, academic skills, as well as meeting the needs of the workforce. They benefit from the expansion of the Colorado preschool program, which Representative Esgar and the Joint Budget Committee was a champion of. And we also look forward to discussed how they would benefit from universal preschool in Colorado as well. But like many social service organizations, the Eastside Child Care Center has a surge in demand, but a lot of their normal donations dried up. And so that's why the Help Colorado Now Fund was able to really help fill some of those gaps. We were also joined by Mayor Gradisar at Active Armor, a local innovative company that makes hygienic, waterproof alternatives to traditional casts that go on your arm or leg if you break it. They now are making 3D printed, transparent masks that allow people to see your face and your lips, so it's good for if you're communicating with somebody who's hearing impaired or you're working in speech therapy. These are medical grade, FDA approved technology. And it really shows the innovative spirit of Pueblo residents, that they're able to adapt their business to kind of meet the needs of keeping people healthy and allowing their mouth to be seen by adapting their 3D printing technology. I'm excited to get around the state to really make sure that we can hear the stories on the ground and tailor the response to the pandemic from a health side and the economic side to the different needs in different areas of Colorado. We certainly want to emphasize the importance of of taking advantage of free, quick, and easy testing in southern Colorado. If you have symptoms, the sooner that it can be identified, the sooner we can prevent the spread among the people who might have been exposed. And I'm real excited to spend time in Pueblo and Colorado Springs today to hear about how people are doing, how we as a state can do a better job partnering to grow our economy, to save lives, and also just hearing from people that are impacted by the pandemic. I couldn't be more pleased to be here. After this, I'll be visiting the state fair. You know, dozens of states have canceled their state fair, all of the in-person components. I'm very proud to say that Colorado has a strong in-person component to our state fair around the youth. The 4-H and FFA youth will be there today, in many cases with their animals, and we'll be able to personally congratulate them. There's also been drive-through fair food, and of course other parts of the fair have gone online to keep people safe. But we're really excited that we're one of the states that was able to maintain a strong in-person component of the state fair right here in Colorado, and I can't wait to visit. With that, I want to introduce Betsy Markey. Betsy represented a rural district in the United States Congress. She's a real champion of rural Colorado, of southern Colorado. In fact, it was support from the Office of Economic Development and International Trade that helped Active Armor expand and employ more Pueblo residents. And it's really exciting to have her with me today, hearing from Pueblo residents and Colorado Springs residents about how the state can better support their efforts to grow our economy. Betsy?
Great. Thank you very much, Governor, and it's a pleasure to be here in Pueblo again today, and we truly appreciate the strong partnership that the city has with the state. And Pueblo really exemplifies how innovation and tourism and the arts all work together to spur economic activity. You know, let's start with innovation. The governor mentioned that we visited Active Armor today, again, who they received an advanced industry grant to get that business started and now pivoting to make masks. We also just did the ribbon cutting for the Mobile Learning Lab, which really is such a creative way to make sure that we are attracting companies, growing companies that are already here by providing that critical need to retrain and upskill your employees to be able to take advantage of new business opportunities and to stay competitive. And then, of course, there's EVRAZ, a huge economic success story, and I know worked with the state, and we're so pleased about a $500 million new investment into the steel mill that will be coupled with 240 megawatts of solar. So again, what a great example of the circular economy and how business and environment can work together. And then in terms of tourism, the Pueblo participated in a great project as part of one of the state's Regional Tourism Act projects, the Pro Bull Riders Sports Performance Center. We're very excited about that project for Pueblo and how it really is part of the entire state's sports training ecosystem. And then, of course, there's the arts. Pueblo was one of the first creative districts in the state of Colorado. We have 26 now designated creative districts, but Pueblo was one of the first because they have traditionally recognized the importance of the arts and film and culture to economic development. I know the Pueblo Arts Alliance works very closely with artists. I believe you have affordable studio space for artists here in town, and so it's really a good collaboration between the business community and the arts, again, to spur economic growth here in Pueblo. We are, and then again, I would be remiss if I didn't recognize also the work that's being done to revitalize the Waterhouse Project, Water Tower Project, which is a historic building being renovated to provide startup space for entrepreneurs, for events, and of course we consider artist entrepreneurs as well. So what a great addition this will be to downtown Colorado. So a lot of exciting things happening here, and we look forward to continuing to work with Pueblo on all your economic development activities. Thanks very much.
Thank you. We're joined by Rick Garcia, Department of Local Affairs, who has been a strong supporter of a lot of our economic development initiatives here in southern Colorado.
Great. Thank you, Governor, and good afternoon. It's great to be in Pueblo. Let me begin with just giving you a quick overview of what the Department of Local Affairs is about. It's about supporting local governments, providing financial and technical assistance when necessary. So that's what we've been doing, particularly during this COVID-19 pandemic. So let me begin by letting you know what the Department of Local Affairs has accomplished so far in helping Pueblo City, Pueblo County, and all of Southern Colorado. Through the governor's leadership, he directed $275 million through executive order to support local governments in their need to combat the coronavirus pandemic. Pueblo, as a per capita share, received about $14.4 million directly. The Pueblo County and the Pueblo City worked together to split that dollar amount. Pueblo County received $8.8 million approximately, and they passed through a sizable amount to the town of Boone and the town of Rye, also in Pueblo County. The city of Pueblo has about $5.5 million of that, and they're using it now to support combating the pandemic. In addition, special districts here in the city of Pueblo, as well as the county, the Pueblo County and City Library District received about $500,000 from that coronavirus relief fund allocation. Pueblo West Metropolitan District received about $125,000, and Southeastern Colorado Water Conservancy District another $23,000. These dollars are typically used, for example, to support payroll for unbudgeted public health overtime hours, public health expenses such as sanitizer, shields, and gloves, economic support in the form of grants to businesses that they had service interruptions and were required to close, as well as food services performed by organizations such as Catholic Charities, Salvation Army, and Meals on Wheels. So since August 7th, the state, through the Department of Local Affairs, has approved 450 local governments and organizations. To date, 342 of those are now in the process of receiving reimbursement for those types of expenses that they're submitting. And we continue to look forward to work with local governments all through Pueblo County and through Southern Colorado in supporting your public health needs. Now, let me just touch on the health-related issues that have impacted housing. The Department of Local Affairs also hosts the Division of Housing, and as a result of that, we have stood up a couple rental assistance programs. One is the Emergency Housing Program, which through executive order and through some legislation, we have been able to support 1,530 households. That's statewide. Some of those households actually are located here in Pueblo. We understand about 13 of those have received direct assistance to help them meet their rental payment obligations as a result of being directly impacted by the COVID virus. Statewide, we also are working with an organization called Brothers Redevelopment. Brothers has received a contract through the Division of Housing to provide housing counseling and foreclosure prevention services. They are working here in Pueblo with Mount Carmel Veterans Service Centers, and we're also working to get additional organizations here in Pueblo to support local community members that have a need to negotiate with their mortgage company on potential forbearance and also receive rental assistance. If you're interested as an individual, you can go to coloradohousingconnects.org to get that kind of assistance. We're also working with two organizations, Southeast Colorado Enterprise Development and Total Concepts, to also stand up contracts that will also support local community rental housing needs. And finally, through the good graces of the Colorado Legislature, House Bill 1410 was enacted in the final days of the legislature, which is a program that delivered about $19 million of additional rental assistance support and mortgage foreclosure prevention dollars to the Division of Housing. And as a result, we have stood up a program called the Property Owners Preservation Program. To date, 805 landlords have been approved. This is a program that landlords can make application on behalf of their tenants who are in dire need of rental assistance. And to date, we have issued $2.2 million. This program has only been up for about 4 weeks, so we're moving quite aggressively. And if you're interested in that program as a landlord, you can find information at cdola.colorado.gov/rental-assistance. And we continue to look forward to getting these dollars out locally through our local nonprofit organizations, working directly on assistance to actual homeowners and tenants, and also property owners and landlords. Back to you, Governor.
Thank you. You know, among the many impacts of the virus disrupting travel and normal commerce, it has also prevented Leroy Garcia from being governor of the state. Because when Diane Primavera and I are out of the state, which we have been in the past before the pandemic, Leroy served as governor briefly. But of course, during the pandemic, neither Diane nor I have left the state. And I have briefly for Washington, and Diane was acting governor, but she has not left the state. And but we look forward to those days once again, Leroy, where the pandemic is over, the flights are back, and you're able to serve as acting governor once again. Senator Garcia.
Thank you, Governor. I, too, look forward to those days. There's a lot more work we could do. I want to start off by thanking Governor Polis for taking the time to be with us, not only in Pueblo today, but also back at Public Community College, where you might know I serve as a faculty member. Chancellor Garcia, appreciate you being here and hearing about all the great things Public Community College is doing under the direction of President Erjavec. I'm incredibly grateful for the care and attention that you have paid our community during these difficult times, and applaud you for your leadership. In June, we at the Colorado Legislature concluded the 2020 regular session. However, at the time, the Capitol did not look like anything we had planned. Along with the rest of the country, we were thrust into one of the most unpredictable and overwhelming times in recent memory, with this global pandemic that has claimed the lives of countless Americans, and a collective call for justice around police accountability. This year has been a historic in more than one way. However, despite undeniable difficulties, I'm incredibly proud of the way that we have been able to come together here on behalf of every Coloradan. In just 3 short weeks, while we were back in the legislature, we were able to pass over 200 bills aimed at helping hardworking families and businesses get back on their feet. From expanding unemployment benefits to guaranteeing paid sick leave to securing millions of dollars for small businesses through relief, we were able to pass meaningful legislation that directly helps Coloradan workers get through these challenging times. We also were able to prioritize families by setting up relief funds for utilities, housing assistance, limiting debt collectors, and protecting folks from price gouging, which of course had been a practice of the past. But none of this could have happened if we weren't able to work with our local leaders and weren't successful with our federal delegation and, of course, the governor's office. Together, we were able to come together through collaboration and work as a team, listen to each other, and learn from each other's perspectives. Other states that struggled to put aside their differences and instead chose to use this pandemic as a political tug-of-war obviously suffered greatly. But we here in Colorado have a long history of a specific type of style, frontier-style fortitude. And when the going gets tough, we get going. That's exactly what we did. We responded quickly, effectively, and successfully to this pandemic, working to flatten the curve and get relief to people who need it the most. But our work is far from done. We know that. Families are still struggling to pay rent. We know that still too many are out of jobs. Small businesses are being impacted at an alarming rate. And now is the time more than ever for us to make sure that we keep our foot on the gas and do everything in our power to build back Colorado even stronger, leaving our personal agendas aside and moving together more as a unit for the greater good. Because when your community has been hit with a disaster, you don't stop to argue about the party you support or the God you pray to or the ancestry you came from. Instead, you band together and build it brick by brick right back to build the home that you cherish. So I'm incredibly proud of what we've been able to accomplish so far, and I have no doubt that we will continue to recover under the state's leadership and, of course, by God's good grace. So thank you, Governor, for being here in Pueblo today.
Thank you, Senator Garcia. And we're now joined by Representative Daneya Esgar.
Thank you, Governor, and thank you, all of you, for being with us here today to really talk about the amazing team effort it really has been in order to keep Coloradans safe. It was an unprecedented year. I think 2020, we can all agree, hit us like a ton of bricks. When we talk about the economy free fall that happened and scrambling with weeks instead of months to build a state budget that still, unfortunately, we had to cut $3.3 billion out of that budget. but I am proud of the work we were able to do on the Budget Committee. As chair, I was able to move forward a budget that, although we had to make drastic cuts, we were able to make sure that we were keeping the life, health, and safety of Coloradans during a global pandemic in mind and on the forefront. And I am darn proud of what we were able to do under those circumstances. I really want to just emphasize to the people of Southern Colorado, what you see here is what happens every single day in Colorado's government. We work together, the different departments, the different branches of state government come together to figure out how to make things better for all Coloradans and how to make sure that we are keeping people safe, from our federal delegations to our governor's office to the executive branch, all of the departments within that branch, and your state legislature. President Garcia said it best. We all put our differences aside. We come together to protect people, and we can't get lazy right now. I know it feels like things are getting better, but we have to continue to be vigilant and protect each other. And if we continue to do so, I can't wait for us to be back in the legislature in January to start talking about recovery and what it looks like to bring Colorado back up to where Colorado should be, in the Colorado that we all know and love, and make it even better. So thank you for being here today. Thank you for coming and taking a look at everything that's happening in Southern Colorado, and for hosting this press conference for the first time outside of Metro Denver in Pueblo. We are the home of heroes, and we are going to continue to persevere. And I just want to say thank you. Personally, thank you, Governor, for being here, and thank you for all the work that you all have been doing to make sure that Coloradans can get back on their feet and continue to move forward in the midst of this pandemic.
Thank you. Yes.
I'm sorry. Could I just mention one more thing?
Yes, please, go ahead.
I want to thank the legislature for their attention to the concerns of small businesses, and for the $20 million in CARES Act money that is going to be going for grants for small businesses as part of the Energize Colorado Gap Fund, which launched on Monday, which is a combination of loans and grant money available for prioritizing small businesses under 25 employees, women-owned, veteran-owned, minority businesses, rural businesses, those businesses that may not have gotten help from the federal government. We want to make sure we're not leaving them behind. So again, they are allowed both grant and loan money to get back on their feet, and we really couldn't have done it without that CARES Act money from the legislature. So thank you very much for really your deep concern for small businesses. It's just go to energizecolorado.com to get more information for your small businesses.
Thank you. Good. We'll be happy to take some questions.
Governor, after several positive tests and several dorm buildings being closed down, Colorado College is moving to fully online.
I hadn't heard that. Was that announced? Was that today?
Yeah, that was.
Could you briefly tell me what they announced? Because I didn't see that. It was just today.
After,
I know it's been the last few days, but they
10 positive cases at least. They're moving fully online for their first block, considering moving it.
Which is just a month for them, though, right?
Semester, yeah. So they're considering the rest of the semester. Does that change, or how does that change your approach to college?
Well, I think it shows the importance of cohorting. When cohorting is done well, and somebody contracts the virus, ideally you shouldn't have to shut everything down. And I know our universities, our schools are being very thoughtful about this, where they say, okay, how do we make sure it's only 30 people that were in contact with this person, or 40 people, or 20 people? Clearly, if you don't have that cohorting, and you knock a third of your kids out or half of your kids out, at that point, they look at going completely online for a period of time. So all of our colleges, CSU Pueblo, CU Colorado Springs, other colleges across the area, have real thoughtful processes, including testing, including making sure that we can contain it with as few infections as possible, and prevent it from becoming a runaway infection that could obviously ultimately cost lives, but also lead to a university choosing to go online for a period of time.
Hello, Governor. This is Vinny Dowshooter, Bloomberg News in Denver. The COVID-19 question. We understand the White House, in a conference call with state officials, conceded sending students back to U.S. colleges has caused the potential for mass COVID-19 spread nationwide, and they're encouraging schools not to send infected students home, warning of a new wave. Can you share anything on White House guidance this week? Thank you very much, sir.
So I was on one call with the White House this week. I don't recall that being said. I do recall I believe it was the vice president. It could have been Dr. Birx. One of them talked about how they want to emphasize a safe return to colleges. They also talked about a new technology which will help in that regard, which is coming online soon, and that is greater capability for rapid testing, right? When we talk about our quick, free, and easy testing sites in Colorado, the turnaround is a day or two, but now there's technology for 30, 45-minute testing. We've had that for some time, but it's been very limited. We are expecting over the next few weeks much greater capability around quick tests. CU is administering their own saliva test. CSU has a quick test. This would be available to other colleges and community colleges, as well as public schools that might be experiencing outbreaks, to be able to catch it early and prevent it from spreading. Real quickly, if a student contracts it at a college, they should isolate or quarantine. Many of the residential colleges have established specific dorms or wings where people who are contagious can live, or if they live in a single, they might remain in their single. And if they have roommates, either they or their roommates might be isolated for a period of 14 days. And of course, those roommates would be among the group that would be quarantined if somebody comes down with a case.
We've seen the success stories in Colorado Springs and Pueblo during the pandemic, especially with grant money coming in and whatnot. What have you seen are the needs from these companies and from these cities? What do you feel the needs are still here?
Yeah, and I want to give this is a good one for our legislators who have their ear to the ground in our southern Colorado communities every day, and we'll go to them. I think certainly the Paycheck Protection Program was critical in many small businesses getting through this. The EnergizeColorado.com Gap Fund, small businesses under 25 people can apply for up to $10,000 in grants, $15,000 in loans that are low interest. And then, of course, being able to get the health situation under control quicker than many other states so we could return to work, return to productivity, and return to doing what we do best here in Colorado. Representative Esgar, what are you hearing?
You know, I think the governor's right on track with what you mentioned. People really just want to figure out how to keep their small businesses going, how to thrive with those small businesses and get their employees back to work, and have those employees being successful in making sure that they're able to pay their rent. Those are still the same issues that I think we hear across the entire state, are the same here in southern Colorado. People want to work, people want to get back to work, and we just have to make sure we figure out how to do that in a safe manner and keep people safe. I know people are really trying their best to protect each other, and we just have to continue to be vigilant, especially through the winter season, with flu season even coming upon us as well, and continue to wear masks to protect each other so our small businesses can, in fact, get back into business and continue to thrive and keep our employees going.
Okay. Next question.
This is Erica Meltzer from Chalky. A follow-up question on the cohorting. We've seen a number of K-12 schools where large numbers of students had to go home. The most recent was Overland High School in Aurora with 67 students. Do you feel like the system we have in place now is working well? Are you considering any changes?
Yeah, Overland is a very large school. Do you have it, Erica? What is it, 5, 6, 7, 800, I think? How many students at that one? Do you know? It's pretty big. Yeah, so I mean, you know, when you have a school of, 800, 1,000 kids, a cohorting of 57 that have to be quarantined is actually a lot what success looks like. What failure to take these precautions look like is an entire school having to convert to an online format and kids not being able to go in. And that will likely happen in our state when there is greater community infection or where there is an infection that was not contained at the classroom level. But through testing, through early action, we hope that if it's an elementary school, it's often just a class, 20, 25 kids that would convert to online. The rest of the school would be able to continue. If it's a high school, it might be 57 kids out of 800. And of course, that's a 14-day transition, and then those kids are able to return to class. We encourage them all to get tested after the 7th day. After the incubation period, they can go to one of the free, quick, and easy testing sites. And we are also making school-based testing a priority, meaning it's one in combination with local health departments. If it's needed in a community, if there's not an easy way to get tested near there, we would work to make mobile testing sites available either at the school or at a site that is convenient for parents and families who attend the school.
Is there a number or proportion of positive cases at a school where your office would recommend that a school does go fully online?
Yeah, so those guidelines are all part of what districts are being provided with in county health. Essentially is if it's not contained in one classroom or one cohort and suddenly there's several classes that get it, it is likely to be identified as a school-based outbreak. Schools, are not the only kind of congregate setting that people live in. It's like a workplace. It's like a restaurant. It's like a community college. It's like a library. We have had outbreaks over summer in all different kinds of facilities. And I think there's excellent protocols that are developed to try to identify outbreaks early and act quickly to prevent large site closures that are very disruptive for parents and families, or in the case of the private sector, are very disruptive to productivity and or people being able to earn a living. Yeah.
Statewide of 2.98%.
Yeah.
2 weeks ago, 2.18%. What do you attribute that to? And second question, what do you do with the Eastern Plains? You haven't been seen on the Eastern Plains since the pandemic started or at all this year. And you've got a couple of counties with some fairly significant outbreaks, but you've also got one that hasn't had a single case reported yet. And their businesses are struggling. And they have nobody sick.
So on the second one, I'll be in Fort Morgan and Sterling next week, Marianne. I hope you're able to join us. If we are doing enough testing, seeing a positivity rate in the 2 to 3% range is encouraging to us. And that's one of the reasons that we're emphasizing the need for more testing in Pueblo and Colorado Springs. We see rates in the 4 to 5% range, which means we don't have enough information to know the exact level of the virus. Once you get down to 2 to 3%, and yes, the lower the better, 1 to 2% would be even better, but 2 to 3% will generally mean that enough testing is occurring where we're not catching every case, but you're catching the majority of cases, and you have the ability to do through contact tracing, quarantine and isolation early to prevent community-wide outbreaks that lead to loss of life and economic setbacks. Have any plans to extend that past its current year? So the mask mandate has been a big part of schools being able to return, and I realize not all schools are back. Some are going back in the next month or two. Superintendent Owens and Falcon Fort Carson really attributed their ability to go back to the mask requirement that's been implemented. In addition, it's increased the comfort level that students have had because they're practicing these behaviors at home. Now, at this particular school, many of the parents serve in the military. They're actually even been ahead of the general public in mask wearing. The military instituted mask wearing protocols very early on in this process, required in most settings where they weren't able to do social distancing. Through mask wearing and social distancing, Colorado has been more successful than many other states in keeping this pandemic suppressed to levels that allow for people to return to work, return to school, whether it was last week, this week, or in a month. And I think Colorado families really value that forward progress, and mask wearing is an important part of that.
Hi, Governor. Betsy at the Colorado Sun. You talked a lot about, in recent weeks, the lack of people showing up at some of these testing sites. I'm wondering if you could provide some specific numbers about percentage utilization, and also, what plans you have to try and get the word out. I know you've been talking a lot at some of these press conferences about the need to get people to these testing sites, but what else can be done to actually prompt people to show up?
Yeah, so we'll be happy to give you some of the numbers, Jesse. We do have numbers. I don't know if it's by site or it's just those sites. They're all doing, like a few hundred a day at Water World, at Sports Park, Citadel 200-300 a day, Pueblo a little bit less. We have been working with Pueblo to expand the hours, and Mayor Gradisar has been working closely with us. They're now, it was 3 days a week. Now it's 5 days a week and every other Saturday, or that is starting soon or is currently where they are, Pueblo County Fairgrounds. Citadel, is Tuesday through Saturday, so they're just off Sunday and Monday. The other ones at Waterworld, Pepsi Center, and Sports Park are, I believe, all 6 days a week. Some might be 7 days a week. So convenience is important in this day and age. People expect something to be free, quick, and easy. And in many cases, they put off getting tested or don't get tested until the symptoms worsen if it's not something that they can do easily, meaning they don't want to go to a hospital or fill out paperwork or think that they might have to pay. So our goal has really been to meet people where they are, to make it as convenient as possible. And as the word spreads about how easy it is, more and more people, when they experience symptoms or believe that they've been exposed to somebody with coronavirus, are going to the free, quick, and easy testing centers.
The chili farm that you stopped by today, they were a little bit worried about not having the chili fest to be able to sell a lot of their chilies. What kind of guidance do you have there, or what can you help with those?
So we were over at Kreitz today. Representative Esgar joined us, and Representative Buenteo. We got to see chili. They farm their own chili on about 50 acres, but they also process chili from other area chili farmers. We were excited to highlight the Pueblo Chili eating competition that's coming up at the state fair virtually. I don't follow this eating world as closely as I follow professional baseball like the Rockies, but apparently there's major eating celebrities, and they're going to be part of this competition. And we're excited to host them to see how many Pueblo chilies they can eat in a given amount of time. And we also, of course, want to highlight the culinary aspects and contributions of why Pueblo chili is a superior chili, and why Pueblo chili is consistently better than Hatch chili.
So, Governor, it's actually the Pueblo Slopper eating
Oh, that's right, the Eat Pueblo Sloppers.
It has green chili sauce on them, but...
Are you going to be participating this year?
I tried last year, and
Okay.
I failed miserably. But, no, I'm to answer the question as well, I think it's important that people understand that there's still going to be an abbreviated chili festival happening. It's the 26th year. We didn't want to not have it, but it's definitely going to be a smaller farmers market type of situation for people to come down. There's going to be safety protocols put in place as well. But also just want to make sure that people know that the chili farms are ready to go. There's farms clear out in all parts of Pueblo County that you can go and buy your chilies at, even starting right now. Chili season is here. Buy your chilies, buy them often, and buy a lot.
You can tell I'm wearing a chili mask today, and we heard that the hot, dry weather has led to our Pueblo chilies being extra spicy this year.
Hi, Governor. It's Ed Seelover with the Denver Business Journal. It's been about 2.5 months now since you set indoor capacity regulations for indoor events. A lot of hotels are starting to lose occupancy as leisure travel season dries up and are hoping to restart events. Are you considering going back and relooking at them, possibly expanding those at all?
Yeah, as soon as trade events and conferences are happening again, we want Colorado to be on the map as a destination for them. Many companies, many conventions canceled for the rest of the year. I talk and hear regularly from many of the convention centers, and conventions have canceled into early next year. But as soon as that business exists, we want Colorado to be a safe part of it. We demonstrated that we can do tourism this summer, particularly in western Colorado. I was extremely worried 3-4 months ago that our business in our mountain areas would be 50-60% off. These are areas where 60-70% of the economy revolves around tourism. Instead, many of them have had close to normal summer seasons economically, flat, a little bit down, but a lot stronger than we feared. Why? 2 reasons. One is we kept the health situation under control, and in many ways we were seen as a safe refuge for people from Texas, California, and Arizona who thought they would wait this out in the relatively safe mountains of Colorado, and they brought their pocketbooks with them. The second reason is we figured out how to do tourism in a safe way, meaning while the mask-wearing piece for residents and customers is newer, people that work in stores have been wearing masks throughout this entire crisis, staying safer, social distancing at retailers, outdoor concerts with social distancing. And as soon as there is a convention and conference business, I'm extremely optimistic that Colorado will be among the states that figures out how to do it right and leads the way in attracting the business back to Colorado. Thank you. Thanks, Leroy. Thank you for joining us.
See you, Governor. I'll see you.
Yep. Oh, good. Thanks, Rick.
Thank you so much.